So now that that's all done, we get to the real shit.
I was gonna say, how do you like them balls in your mouth?
I knew that was gonna. I knew that was gonna be a thing.
You saw that smile too. I was like, oh,
Yes.
I can't say it here.
Um. So
Damn.
for the J&J topic, uh, after dark, what we got?
Question.
Are we kids faking it through adulthood, or has adults gotten more aware of the BS in modern times? Um. hmm,
And before you continue, this isn't a question that we get from our fans. I created this question after seeing some BS on the interwebs. But if you have questions or topics you want us to talk about, definitely shoot it up our veins, and we will talk about
Yeah, like a drug. Yes,
it. We'll
shoot
just.
it into our veins. Um. So
What do you
I
think?
think. Hmm.
I feel like we may vary, but I think we may say something's the same.
So I do think that we are kids faking it through adulthood. So I say that because specifically us as millennials, we
Yes.
haven't had it. Well, no, we've had more emotional and mental hurdles rather than Gen X or baby boomers, where they had more physical labors that they had to go through.
And not just labors, they did it because it's what it had to be done.
Yeah,
They they forget college. They have because of I have to do this, get kids, have a sustainable job. There was no TikTok or all that other
yeah.
shit. There was none
All.
of that where there was nothing distracting them,
Mm-hmm.
and there was not like, okay, I'm not gonna go to school. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
There was entrepreneurship, but it wasn't like, oh, I just want to go surf. I
Yeah.
want to be a surfer.
Yeah, right now, I mean, anyone, not that everyone could do it, but literally anyone, if they had to drive to, they could quit their 9 to 5, become a surfer, and vlog their entire life of just surfing every
And
day
make
and make millions of dollars.
yes. And
That's a
there's
real
nothing
thing.
wrong with that. It's just that is a good thing because it's like we have more opportunities, we have
Yeah.
more outlets, but then these outlets become what we were talking about earlier, this short-term memory or this quick get rich quick thing.
Yeah,
Um yeah. And it's
it's
just because there's no passion behind it. Like what we're doing now as a podcast. Yes, we do want money to help this podcast grow, but it also helps us fuel our passions, and we hope it becomes something bigger, and hope we inspire people
yes.
to do what we're doing as well.
Yeah, this is a passion project first and foremost. Now, like Jay said, we would love for it to be our full time job, and this is what we do and get paid for. But this is a passion project, and this is just at the end of it, it's fun for us.
Yeah,
Um, whether we have one listener or 1 million, like it's a fun time for us.
yeah,
So yeah, like you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like we just have more opportunities and more distractions. Back then, there was definitely less opportunities because the world was much more fragmented. Right? It was
yeah,
you left it. You existed in either big cities or little towns. And this is I'm just talking about America at this point, but
yeah,
realistically, like the world wasn't really connected outside of maybe finance, like stock markets and stuff. And even that didn't really come around till later in the 20th century.
yeah. The stock market was more for the rich,
Yeah,
especially. And now, if we broke it down, uh, talk about race, like there was no black person or any person of color with stock money. No, that
so
wasn't a thing, and that's another thing too. It's more accessible to get to stocks.
yeah,
Back in the 90s, not that it didn't exist, but like
you had to read
people
the.
our age
You
at
had
that
to.
time, they weren't in there.
Yeah, it
So like,
wasn't as convenient. There was a barrier of entry. So like you needed a stockbroker.
yeah,
That's a thing.
yeah,
We don't need stockbrokers anymore. We have apps. We just go in. I can spend a penny on point 0.00001 shares of Nike if I felt like it. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it, back then. Even something like I was saying for the 90s. my computer is, I don't know what's happening, but okay. Um, yep, there it is. Something's going on. I don't know what's happening. All right. Nope, we're good. So for the 90s, yeah, you needed to read the newspaper and then have a stockbroker. So you would call, buy and trade, while the market was open, or you would just give money to some guy and they would invest it. You could still do that. You could still give money to someone to manage your portfolio.
The old
But
way.
if you really cared, or if you had the time, you could take $10 and become a millionaire. You can become a day trader on your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, to a lesser extent, that's what NFTs are. Like, if you're able to figure out trends and see where the money goes and invest, there's no reason why you couldn't. Literally, like I said before with the surfer analogy, anyone could do it. Now, everyone cannot, because it does require time, research, and a level of investment.
Yeah.
So everyone cannot do that for one reason or another, but literally anyone can. Like, they have the accessibility.
At that point, as you said everyone can do it, but some people shouldn't or can't because they don't have that, I guess, that capacity. At that point, we are kids, and if we're talking about our age group, we're basically still kids because we just broke 30. Like I'm 30, but you're gonna break that. Like we just broke that. At this point, we're still. I guess the term we use now is that we're using the term adulting. We're still figuring it out. There are people that had kids way before us, and their kids taking care of kids at this point. Not saying that is wrong, but we're still figuring ourselves out. And I'm speaking generally for everyone.
Yeah, and
raising kids.
Millennials and Gen Zs, right? We're getting married later in life. We're having kids later in life. That also comes with living longer, but we're also breaking the social norms of having a kid in your 20s.
Well, I was thinking about it too. Like my mom had me at like 33. So I just, in my head, I just feel like I'm on track.
See, so my mom, right? My mom had me when she was like 21. Something like that. 21 or 22.
That's very young.
So she was young. She was in her 20s, and my parents were married already for like 2 years.
But that's also circumstance too.
Yeah.
Like your dad was in the Army at the time.
Yeah. Well, the Marines, but yeah.
And the Marines, yeah.
And they had been dating since they were 16.
So, but then that some people may not have that luxury. I'm not saying your dad was rich, but like it was a stability that was there.
And I mean, then you look at my grandparents, right? I mean, statistically speaking, they were pretty young. They had 4 kids in their 20s, like throughout their 20s and 30s, I guess. Like, my grandfather just passed away, and my grandmother's still around. They're in their 70s. And I have a great grandmother kicking in New York, and she's in her 90s. She's 96. Like, it's my family. They all had kids very young, in their 20s. They're all married already. By the time they were 25, I think my mom already had my sister, or like they were close to having my sister or something like that. So
I would love to be that person.
By 30, they had established 2 kids, and they both were in their careers already. Like, I mean, my dad was a cop. He became, he was a police officer in NYPD right after coming out of the Marines. And my mom was a secretary at the time. And then, she ended up going to college when I was in high school. And she became a nurse. So it was a little later on. But
she was a kid. Yeah. But she was a kid.
Think about that. Before 30, 2 kids, they're established. They have an apartment. They're renting or whatever, and they're doing the thing, dropping the kids off, going to work, coming back. Like, I could not imagine that. Like, now is when I feel comfortable. Like, I want to have a kid. Me and my wife want to have a kid soon, but now is when I'm comfortable with those conversations. Like, if we would have had one a couple years ago, fine. But like, now is when I'm like, you know what? I think we can do it, and we can provide a good home and all this.
If you had that a couple years ago, if let's say a kid popped out, I think again that's the when the responsibility shifts. Not that you
Yeah.
know what it looks like because you haven't experienced it, but you know there's this entity that's coming towards you. And not speaking of a kid, but like you would have to basically what I'm trying to say is you would stop faking being an adult
Yeah.
if when a
Well, at that
kid gets
point,
involved.
yeah, there's less room for distraction, and
Yes.
more responsibility comes your way, and like it's true. You know, once you have more responsibility, like you have less time for other things. So
Yeah.
starting those responsibilities earlier in life, in like let's say your 20s, right? Like that's a whole different type of living. You
I
know,
think, and that's another thing too. You said starting it earlier. I feel like starting early, but having a goal in mind, and hopefully there's nothing that just thrusted in you into that. Like for example, let's say in early 20s you didn't go to college but you had a plan like okay I'm starting something early, you happen to have a kid with with Erica, but then you're starting to make this plan. So because my goal in life is to not have to retire at an old age because I still want my time.
yeah,
So I don't want to be too old to not be able to do something.
yeah,
I don't have like a set number, but I just don't want to be too old to retire. I
yeah.
want to be like
Yeah, I
be able
mean,
to
you don't
do
want to
stuff.
work. I mean, there's people nowadays like they're
They retire
working,
early.
they're retiring early. Sure, like my dad, he retired before he was 50,
Yeah,
and now it's because he
exactly.
did, military, and then he did his 20 years in the police department.
Yeah,
But yeah, he retired in his 40s.
dude's
I
chilling.
he's still. I mean, he's not really. He has a full time job still because he doesn't want to just sit at home. But
I would sit at home. I play video games all day. No, but I cannot do anything. Do an actual full time job like he does. I again, you know how I would do it. I'd work part time and work on. I'd continue creating, and
yeah,
that depends on the person's
yeah, like him,
ambition.
he's always been a very much like I'm gonna work. Like that's his thing. Like
And
you
that's
can't.
and that's there's
Yeah, he
nothing wrong with
can't
that.
just sit at home. Like he's not that type of guy.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's different when you like nowadays. You kind of see some people. Unfortunately, they got to work till they're 70 something. I
and that's
mean,
a
in education, right? So Erica, she's a teacher. There's people there that have been working for 20 plus years,
but it's that mentality too.
dude.
Yeah,
20 plus years, they're only making 43,000. And there's one of her coworkers that she's a single mom. She has 3 kids. They're older, so high school and college,
three.
and she works 3 jobs just to keep everything going.
And
And
that's the mentality that the I don't want to say old head because I don't think she's old. I'm not assuming she's old,
I think she's
but
in like her 50s.
yeah, that's not old. Like
But that sucks.
it sucks because I am not speaking for her, but a lot of people may have this similar situation. Um, and we're not trying to. I'm trying to solve this because after dark, for those listening, it's kind of like trying to solve problems.
Yeah.
So you can't just say working 9 to 5 or whatever job it is your only source of income. You have to find something else. It may
It's
not be a lot in the beginning, but hopefully it turns into something. Like I said this once before on the podcast, but or I said it to my cousin. Like I'm happy that my parents came from like Haiti,
mhm.
and like they didn't know each other in Haiti. They found each other here, but they both came here and then they got together and then they
Huh. I
decided
didn't
to
know
have
that.
yeah, they found each other here, not in Haiti. So it's like I wish they had something other than like raising me.
Yeah.
Because that for most people it's their dream.
Hmm.
Maybe that was their dream too. I can't really speak to that.
Yeah.
Some people get fulfilled for that. For me, like speaking for myself, I don't think I'd be fulfilling my dream just raising my kid. I would love to raise my kid in a world where I can share the same thoughts with him. Like, hey, I'm writing this thing,
Hmm.
read my shit. Oh, you have idea. And I'm not expecting my kid to get into the same vocation I'm doing, but it's like if there's something that he or she is doing, I'm like, oh, I want to see what my kid is doing. Oh, this is super creative.
Yeah.
I'm down, like gets into music, I'm with it. I'm
But
down
if
for
you have a
that.
kid that's like Dad, I don't want to be creative. I just want to sit behind a desk till I die.
I'm like, bro, be creative about it.
Like,
Like,
no, I don't want to. I just want to wear khakis and a gray
and just
suit and just die of a heart attack in front of my computer. Just let me live my life, Dad.
a loser who creates stuff. Like
I
that's
want
why
to
you have too many
consume.
followers. That's why I have only 300 followers and I just stay there. But nah, yeah, but it's like one of those things. Like I'm not like mad at my parents for that. I just
Yeah,
wish they had something else. Like I knew like my dad was like a mechanic back when he was in Haiti. But like you know how it is when you come when people from outside the United States come into the United States and
yeah,
they lose their license. It's like a whole thing. Um, but then it's like I always tell like today I was talking to my mom, like she doesn't type, she doesn't know how to really type on a computer. But I'm
mm-hmm.
like, why don't you just get a book and just copy the book? Like that's what we did when we were kids. We had to write it. We got a
Yeah,
book in kindergarten. We had to copy things down. Like I was just do the same thing, but with a freaking computer. It's like just don't stop learning, and that's the thing. We
yeah.
fake it. We
A
fake
lot of
it
that
being
stuff is
adults.
daunting. The,
We
the
and I see it every day at work, and I'm like, hey, they're like, oh, this. I'm like, hey, we Apple offers these free sessions and YouTube, and I would like to coin the phrase that Tyler Martin, creator of Antagonist, which I forgot to text you, but every time you don't do it. But anyway, um, he calls it YouTube University. YouTube is literally a place of learning if you do the right thing
yeah.
and don't
If
go
you
down the
go
rabbit
there
hole.
for learning, yeah,
Yeah, but like if you like literally, oh, how do I make hypothetically? How do I do soft hard boiled eggs? You Google that shit and it's there. How do I
that's how I learned
how do
how
I
to
make
tie a tie.
yeah, how do I like and then you once you get in your head that you can learn from this thing, this school, you're like, "Oh, how do I do my taxes? Oh, how do I learn how to code?" And it will point you in the right direction. And at that point, you can figure shit out.
How do I jailbreak an iPhone? That's how I learned. I just went to YouTube.
L- Literally. So it's like,
Back in high school when I was jailbreaking iPod touches and stuff for
yeah,
people.
you were the cool one,
Yeah,
right?
I would just charge people a couple bucks and be like, all right, and then I'll jailbreak it and give it back. Like that's how I learned. I learned
I'm
it
not gonna
through.
put that on TikTok, so FBI doesn't find you.
I learned it
Um,
through YouTube. You know.
but us faking it as adults, because I'm going back then. So we talk about people back then just had these things like, for example, when people got married back in the day, divorce wasn't an option. And I mean back in the day, I mean like the early 1900s, not
Yeah.
like the latter half, because people were getting divorced then.
Yeah.
But before then, it's like you got married, you stuck with that person no matter what they did. And
Well,
it's
the
usually
baby
like,
boomer age,
yeah.
right?
And it's like I'm sure not a lot of women cheated. It was a lot of the men, and they just knew that the women were leaving. So they're fucking assholes for that. But nowadays, that can happen.
Nowadays, it goes both ways. Equality.
Yeah.
Everyone can cheat.
Everyone can cheat and get divorced.
But yeah, no,
That was funny.
back in the day, there was, like we were saying, the theme of it is just like less distraction, more responsibility earlier in life, and that notion of like multiple income streams. Whereas that's a pretty standard thing nowadays with most people, especially like
But
millennials and Gen
it's
Zs.
just heartbreaking that it's something they don't want to do because you're doing 3 jobs that you don't care for.
Well, no. I'm talking about like so multiple income streams, like passive income. That was
Oh,
something.
I see what you're saying.
That was something that was traditionally like reserved for like the mega wealthy, right? Somebody that has stocks, in their portfolio. Somebody who has multiple
Basically, the
properties.
upper middle class and
Yeah,
rich.
that was reserved for generational wealth, like people that had
Exactly.
generational wealth. Typically speaking, affluent white people, truly.
Yes.
So those mentalities began to break down with the millennials, who millennials now go up to like 40, like their mid 40s. So millennials and maybe a little bit of Gen X, millennials, and then Gen Z. So
Yeah.
these people, like, now it's like passive income is the way to go. I don't want to die behind my desk, right? Like I don't want to work a 9 to 5 forever. So what can I do? How can I have a side hustle? How can I finesse things? How can I turn, and the younger you go, it's like how can I turn my passion or my interest into something that can make me money?
Exactly.
So
And that's that. I think that's where we're going. Like we're always going, and this is the problem with the United States government as well when it comes to immigration and stuff, because they're fucking idiots. Not saying that our people are, and when I say our people, I mean the United States citizens. I'm not saying that
yeah,
they're
what do you
lazy.
mean our people, huh, Jay?
I just mean, nah, I don't want to say that's mad reckless. I can't say that. But like we're still gonna need people that, we're still gonna need doctors, we're still gonna need the police officers. Well, that's a different topic. We still need our firefighters, we still need our, plumbers, all those, things,
Zookeepers.
all literally all those things. But then when it comes to the passions, and it goes for anywhere in the world, no matter what country, that is the driving force. Art will always trump everything else. There are countries that support government, that support the arts. Our government doesn't do that. We have grants for that, which is kind of annoying because it makes it people like us, make it harder for people like us that want to get into the game. And that's why I was kind of very happy to hear James Gunn talk, because it makes me like again, my interest peaked because not because of the DC slate. It's just like he's talking about about writers and fresh writers, fresh directors. It's like to my talking to myself, I was like, maybe I could be one of those that works on something, be it a TV. Like it's not a big budget movie. I feel like it'd be easier for me to get into. So I forget where I was going with this, but this passive income you were saying, I it's the way to go if immigrants are coming over, being because it's a refugee kind of situation. Definitely invite them in, obviously with the legal way. Don't shun them away, because that's the point of our country. Is we're born through different race. So if they can do those jobs, if you can teach them to do these jobs, be it a doctor, be it a plumber, like from one spectrum to the other,
Mm-hmm.
you have that room for other people to chase their dreams
Yeah.
and then to get that money as well. The whole point of the country is to get that money, right? So it's like, why it just seems so stunted. And then I just feel, and again, I'm not a politician, I don't know shit, but it should be that simple. And then going back to the You People movie, it should be that simple.
Yeah, it
Like
should be.
that oh, I think you went out.
Can you hear me now?
Your mic on. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
What'd you
Yeah.
say before?
No, I said it should be that simple. Yeah.
So not, yeah, so it's just one of those things.
Yeah, like there will always be people that are more physically inclined, like to work with their hands.
Yeah.
There's some people where they are gifted in working with their hands. Like things just make sense. Like there are like, and I have people in my family.
The Domino's box is really fast. Oh, you're good?
The
Kinda.
Domino's box? What?
I said the Domino's guy who knows how to flip the box real
Oh,
fast.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, you cut out too, but then I was like, where'd you go?
No, so there's certain things that like, some people are better with their hands, like whether that be cooking or whether that be, taking apart an engine or leather work, like things that work with their hands. Some people are just like gifted in that notion of like being able to take apart things or being able to build things, like whatever it may be, whether it's like I said, cooking or plumbing, like that. Those are things that one, you have to go to school for, and there's trainings, and you get better over time. You put in your 10,000 hours, you become an expert, and like the better you are at things, the more recognition you get, the higher you can go. It always goes with what Jay said before, like continuing to learn, never stop learning. But then there's other people that are prone to creativity, and especially in this country, we need to be better with allowing both of those things to grow. Because
Yeah.
going back to the topic, right? Like, are we just kids faking at being adults? Well, in my own experience, like I saw what my parents and aunts and uncles and other people in my family, like adults. I saw what adults were doing, and I did not want to do that. To
Yeah.
me, that was like a death sentence.
Yeah.
You
It
know?
was boring.
Yeah.
It was boring.
It was like,
I didn't,
why?
I'm
Why would?
happy that you did that for me, but then it was boring.
Yeah, like my parents afforded me opportunities that they never would have dreamed of.
Mhm.
I bought, me and my wife, we bought our first home the same year that my parents purchased their first home.
Like that would never have happened for them
Like,
at that age.
they owned an apartment back in New York. The place where I was like junior high school, like in college where I
Yeah.
lived, like they owned that apartment, but it was an apartment. There's nothing wrong with it, but it was an apartment. And then when
Yeah.
they first came down to Florida, they were renting for a couple years, and then they finally bought a place. But it was just like they because of the things that they did, it afforded me a college education,
Yeah. Which is
and
robbery at this point, but
yeah, I
the
mean even
conversation.
even then that was robbery, but
Yeah.
with that education came meeting people like you and
Mhm.
exposing myself to other things that I would like to do and be a part of. So,
Mhm.
whereas I went there for one thing, I got other things out of it.
Yeah.
Now, I do work in quote unquote corporate America, right? Which I don't love, but my dream is to get out of that and do my own thing. Now, I don't want to have a boss. I want to be a boss. Like I
Mhm.
want to be my own boss. I want to run
It's
my
not like
own
it's
stuff.
not like a bar you're about to drop right now.
Like
Okay, Biggie.
I want to own my own stuff. I want to put my own stuff out there, and I want to help
Yeah.
others grow. Like that's my main thing. Whereas the mentality before was very, for lack of a better word, like 2 dimensional. And I was like, I'm gonna go to a job, I'm gonna work that job for 25 years, retire, and then go on cruises. Like that was just the mentality. It was like I'm gonna work until I can finally retire. I'm gonna break my back until I can retire, and then maybe I'll have some time to myself. Like
Yeah,
that is a
facts.
mentality that you can still have, but you shouldn't. You
Yeah.
should look at things where like,
You
okay,
need to live,
yeah, you need
basically.
to live your life
I
while
want to be able to
you're
go on cruises while I'm doing these. I don't want to go to cruises at that point in time. I want
yeah.
to be able to do that. I want that luxury.
You have to be able to live your life while other things are happening. You should be able to live your life while you have kids. I know that's a hard thing to do, and some people don't have the means to do that, but you should be able to.
Yeah, because if a rich person like and Kim Kardashian pops in my brain, she had kids. Not saying you have to be that rich, but I'm
Yeah,
saying she had kids. It was difficult, and I guess when it comes to the obviously the birthing and all
yeah,
that stuff is hard. The beginning is hard, but she still had a toddler. She's still able to do all these things because uh she had that financial security.
yeah.
Now, I'm not expecting myself to be rich. I want to be financially stable to be able to do these things. I'm not expecting to myself to be going to Europe every freaking month, but I would
No,
like to say I can go once a year. Like to be able to say that. Like, yeah, I came back from, London, or I came back from
I would love to be able to.
or came back from Japan, or like, I want to be
Yeah,
able to do these things.
I
But
want
I'm
to
not
be able. I
expecting
want to be
myself
able
to
to live
be
life outside of just the everyday, right? Because the everyday, it's there. It has to happen. You gotta work. You have to provide. You have to take care of your kids. Like that is all part of life. If that's the life that you want.
yeah,
Now, outside of that, I want to be able to take my kids to different things. You know,
exactly.
my parents were able to take us on vacation every year. They worked their asses off for that,
Yeah.
and they had some very real debt and all that. But I want to be able to do that and more for my kid. I want to
Yeah.
be able to take my kid. I've never left. I mean, technically, I guess I have left the U.S. because I've
You
gone
haven't
to the
left the Western
Caribbean.
hemisphere.
Yeah, so I want to get out of here. I haven't even been to the other side of the country. I haven't even been
Yeah, I was
to.
gonna say you haven't been to the other side of the country
I
either.
haven't even been to the middle. So I want to. I want to.
I personally, because of a certain pigmentation, I'm afraid to go to the middle.
I'm
Um,
afraid too, bro. You don't think to certain people, you and me, there's no
we're
difference.
the same.
We the same.
They look no, they look at us and they just be like, "You Mexican?" I'm like, "Yo, that's a different shade, bro."
So I just want to
Get,
see.
get them guys out of here. Go back to your country. Go back to Egypt.
I just want to see stuff, and then on top of that, I want to experience different cultures of the world. I want my child to experience different cultures. I want my child to see the world.
They
Like,
look at your kid and they just go back to Wakanda.
like I want to be able to do that, you know. And in order to do that, you need to think bigger. So
Exactly.
I'm not here
Yeah.
to be, I don't know, like I'm not here to just sell people and get rich quick or like I don't know, make as much money as you can.
No,
Like,
definitely you're telling or we're telling, think bigger.
yeah, think.
Think
Don't
the way
keep
to think
yourself.
bigger, when people say think outside the box, definitely think bigger. That's
Yeah,
the point of that.
yeah. Don't keep
Um,
yourself in a
I'm
situation.
I'm definitely gonna put a link in the description for this episode. Um, there was a video, and I think I've sent it to you, Justin. If not, I'll send it again. It's called "Don't Quit Your Day Job."
Yeah.
The channel is called Film Film Courage, and the guy, he's not on some like Chris Nolan level director or producer or whatever, but he still has his 9 to 5 and produces his own stuff, which I found myself falling into that category before seeing this video. So when I saw the video, I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I have my 9 to 5, and that money does support what I'm trying to do. Um, and hopefully, like this this summer, for those who don't know, me and Justin are going to be in Tampa Bay for the comic convention, and that's where I'll be selling my shit. I'm not saying that's going to be like the one stop shop and then I'm done for the rest of my career where I'm just going to be making bank, but it will get my name out there. It'll get our shit out there. And
And to
I
a
would
whole
hope,
another audience, because like you have
yeah,
stuff going in New York, but now you're gonna try and have stuff
yeah.
going in like Florida.
And hopefully that spreads a little more because I'm
Yeah.
trying to get more people to talk about it,
And then
about any of my projects.
we go to Cali.
Yeah, and I'd be down to even go to like it'd be like a trip. I was thinking about it the other day, not to get super off topic, but I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, what if like me and Justin just do a road trip to like a different state,
I would do
just
it.
like do to promote Average J's as well.
Like if you
Um,
wanted to do like if you
like
came down,
another convention,
like if you came down here and we went to like Texas, or if I went up there and we went to like,
Atlanta, because Atlanta has
we could probably meet in Atlanta because
yeah,
that's closer to me. That's Georgia. But I don't know.
it's
If we, like
true.
if we went to like Boston, if I went up to you and then we went to Boston, um, go up to like Massachusetts or even
Yeah.
Maine, go further
Like
up.
at that point, like, and that's what I was, and that's where it comes into the conversation of finding other sources of income. What if I make my income? Because most my initial campaign for anything, that's just going to go to my projects until there is a certain cash flow coming in where I'm like, oh, there's a surplus of money, I can actually pocket that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, and that's what I'm looking for. And then me and Gabby has had the conversation of kids is that she knows that at this point in time, if let's say we start trying now, and
Yeah.
obviously there's always that chance, you'll never know. But let's say we try once and there's a kid, I'm like, oh, that's 9 months of that's all I'm thinking about at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not saying not that I gave up on my projects, is just slow like molasses at this point.
Yeah.
I just want to get
Well,
myself off
you
the
have like a 9 month like timeline to do as much as you can before that little fucker
that is
pops
true,
out.
9 months, but then there's also, but the thing is you gotta save too.
Yeah.
Like you gotta save for those things. And it's not like I can still, because yeah, my thing is I have to save for that. Like
Yeah.
my money will basically be cut in, not I wouldn't say I'm being generous, but cut in half.
Yeah.
Because that money is going to go
Or
towards
just
that.
bounce
Like
out, you just disappear, maybe fake your own death or something.
that's a little wild. I'm not trying to do another single mom thing for our people. We don't want to do that.
It's fine. Stereotypes exist for a reason, okay? It's because they're true, Jay. But
you
no.
know what's not true? I'll start a new stereotype. That stereotype exists. I was gonna say I do disappear, then come back, but that stereotype does exist because then your kid is like a basketball player in the NBA, and I'm like, hey kid, I'm
Yep.
back.
Yep. that exists. But no, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
once you add kids, that's your kid becomes your life, or it
Yeah.
should. Like that's how you properly take care of these little human beings.
Yeah.
Is you have to care for them and do things with them, and they become your world.
Yeah. And I
But
want them, and that's the thing. I want them to be, again, I'm not expecting myself to be on some Spielberg level before I start having
yeah,
kids. I'm trying to have the ball rolling
yeah,
while I have the kid. So when they're growing and they're starting to be self-aware of who they are. They're not like living in this ectoplasm of space. They're like, oh, these things around me matter, and I'm
yeah,
not the center of the universe. They're like aware that of what I'm doing, and
hmm
then I can share that. And I'm like, this is my job,
yeah,
and not working at these ungrateful places that I work for.
yeah. Don't waste your talents. And I think all of this goes
And
back.
that's literally key. Don't waste your talents, people.
All of this kind of goes back to the question, right?
Don't do
So
shit for free.
yeah, definitely don't do shit for free. It all comes back to the question: are we kids faking it through adulthood, or have adults gotten more aware of the BS in modern times? I think we are kids faking it as adults. I think our mental state has really changed from like the older generation, baby boomers, Gen X, to millennials, Gen Z. Mental capacity, well, not capacity, but mental framework has changed. Like we have seen that there are possibilities, and a lot of people have broken through these ceilings to create their own opportunities. And
Yes.
now more than ever, there's so much convenience that it's almost wasteful if you don't take it, like if you don't use it to your own advantage, in the appropriate sense. But you need to use these things as tools to help yourself. Um, Whereas like older generations, like we said before, it was very much like get a job, do it till you retire, and then maybe you can have some fun. Um, like nowadays, it's more so okay. How can I turn my interests and passions into something that works for me?
Yeah.
Um, like when
I
you
think
when you size up, a baby boomer at 20 and a millennial at 20, what do these people look like? They're very different, in
mhm.
terms of like what they can do physically. Well, maybe not even that, but like what they actually do physically. Like, what does their day to day consist of? What are their activities, hobbies, jobs, like views on life? Like, they're two different types of people. And,
Yeah.
nowadays, maybe we see it as kids, but, you know, we're just kids that refuse to grow up. I think we are handling our responsibilities and doing what we need to do while still enjoying the things that we enjoyed when we were younger. We didn't feel the need to kind of throw it away,
Yeah.
right? We are looking at it in a sense of, like I said before, we need to think bigger and
It's kind of like
thinking
the,
bigger.
oh, I have the money now. I can buy the candy.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's basically
yep,
it. Like you're still adulting, you're still faking it till you make it. I think that the two questions go hand in hand too, because we are seeing the BS, but then
yeah,
we're handling it as kids faking it
yeah.
through
Because
adulthood.
yeah, we see the BS, but like, look at all this
We're
shit
just
back here. Like,
we're meandering through the BS. And
yeah,
I when I say the BS, and just to clarify, and this is a question I came up with, I mean the BS of society. Financial, race, agriculture, all these things. There's a lot of BS. And I also am strictly talking about our country.
yeah,
Um, because a lot, again, it could be simpler. It can be done. Just people are dumb in the government.
yeah. And they lie to us. That's the other piece. Like, I'm
And
not
but we
here.
see the BS. Back then we didn't see,
Yeah.
well, when I say back then, I mean again
I mean,
19.
what the fall of trust in the government, I think, was really. I think it started to fail around Vietnam. Um,
Yes.
that was like one of the big turning points in America and like their how they think about government. Because before then, everyone was patriotic to a fault.
It was basically Superman, Captain America,
Yeah,
and America still thinks they're that,
yeah,
but they're
and
not.
they're not. And nowadays, there's just, with the access to other parts of the world, other cultures, information, misinformation, the access to all these things have shaped us to be very different from our 1930s counterparts. Like, we're a whole new breed of human being, and it, modern day problems require modern day solutions. So, in order for us to get through the craziness of today's world, we have to hang on to some of the fun shit that we loved as
Yep.
kids, because if not, we'll go insane. You know, that's just the bottom line. If you have nothing you are passionate about, and you are a young adult or adult in this day and age, you will live a miserable life.
I like one of my favorite quotes. I don't know who said it, but the creative adult is the child who survived.
That sounds very familiar.
I just don't know who said it. I've read it every time, and I love that quote.
Is it Einstein?
You are probably right.
That's
I'm
like and you know what's funny? I heard that quote not too long ago. Like literally within the last week or so. The creative adult is the child that survived. No.
Wasn't anything. Some woman, Ursula.
Ursula K. Le Guin.
Yeah.
Some dumb bitch. Nah, she's cool, I guess.
He's an American author.
Yeah.
What a bowl cut. What a loser.
With a bowl cut.
But
no,
no,
but yeah, it's true. And
she passed away in 2018. She's American citizen who wrote many books. None that I'm familiar with.
It's true, and that's a fantastic quote. What books did she? What books
she did? So I'll just tell you the genre. She did science fiction, fantasy, realistic fiction, literary criticism, poetry, and essays. Notable works: Earthsea. I've heard of that. The Left Hand of the Dark. Don't know what that is. And Dispossessed. Don't know what that is either.
Earthsea. This kind of looks familiar. Very young adult.
I'm definitely gonna look her up, guys.
Planet if you're listening, of Exile, City of Illusions, Left Hand of Darkness, The Dispossessed.
But you know, and it's just I love it. I love living in my world, and that's why I love. It's one of my favorite quotes, because like that's all I think about. Even with the alien heroes, I'm always thinking about like what I can do, and the things that I'm learning from the characters. And I'm like, oh, these characters like me, or these characters like this, like.
Dude, she wrote so many books.
She did, yeah. I have that open here. She has a lot,
and like, some of the titles are wild.
Like
the Eye of the Heron. Oh, that sounds crazy. The Lathe of Heaven.
She knows her words.
Very far away from anywhere else.
See, those are good titles to me. Unlike
these are fantastic.
I hate dumbass titles that don't know shit.
The word for world is forest. The Left Hand.
Hollywood say let's adapt that, and then they would be like, let's call it something else.
Yeah.
Fucking idiots.
Let's call it. What was it?
The Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. Great movie. You gotta freaking United States Americanize it. But no, yeah, like I just love that feeling of just being. It's like when you were younger, you were always daydreaming. Now you're realizing the daydream is something that, like, that was always a problem back in the old days. Like when kids daydream, like teachers would be like, you're never paying attention. I'm like, he probably doesn't care about this BS math that he's not going to use, because he's probably going to be a great English student. He's a great history student, or he's a great writer. He's not going to be good in math. It should be somewhat selective. They should definitely know basic math up to algebra, and that's it. Why do they need to know? Why do they need to have mandatory trigonometry or geometry? There's no need for that for people that are interested in, unless the kid is interested in history.
You need to know all the maths, or you're gonna be an
Oh,
idiot.
so I need to know how to make. I need to know how to bend space and time. Got you.
Yes.
Okay.
Duh.
I'm done. I'm very
Moron.
done. I'm a doo-doo head.
You need to know geometry and proofs. Do you remember that? Do you remember
No, this is a
proofs?
triangle.
Yes.
So
Good job. At least you remember that.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, our education is garbage. That's a
Oh, that's a different. We're gonna
that's a
save the world next
topic.
week.
Yeah, that's a topic for another
Well,
episode.
I'll find something akin to that conversation or something else. We'll try to save the world.
We should just have Erica on, and we could have her discuss
Ooh, I'll have
education.
Gabby on too because she was
Oh, and
part
Gabby
of.
too. Yeah,
Well,
we could just
okay,
discuss
we'll talk.
education with them.
We'll talk to them on that.
Well,
I wonder if they'll stay up late for this conversation.
but with that, everybody, thank you for sticking around for J&J After Dark. We're gonna wrap this up. Be good, and that's it. Just
If
be
you're
good.
watching this on YouTube, definitely tell your friends.
Yes, tell your friends. Spread the word. Post us on things. Subscribe on all the other things.
Yeah, go old school. Put
If
us
you're
on
on
like
YouTube,
lampposts.
subscribe and fucking smash that bell. Like beat the shit out of it. Make sure you get the
Like
notifications.
just like like if you're a dude or a girl, if you're just playing with your bean or your whole post stick, fucking do the same thing with that button.
Bye, guys.